আপনারা দেখছেন কলকাতা টাইমস নিউজ, সময়ের সঙ্গে। What I really wanted to know, Philippines is a country which actually, if you call Southeast Asia,
Yes.
making the films in Southeast Asia and Philippines being into Southeast Asia, I mean, how does your film represents and what is the kind of impact that your films has? I mean, since you have already said that my films does not make popular, but I am popular. I'm into that context.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't make films for a specific audience. I make films because I have a message. I wanted to say something. Now, in my films, because it dwells on societal issues and humanities, it can connect not only to Southeast Asian, but also for the rest of the country. Like when I show, for instance, my films in Russia or in Europe, I mean, people, they can easily connect with my stories, even if there's like a huge disparity and difference between our countries. You know, European country, the first world country, and, you know, the developing country like the Philippines. But they can connect with my stories. Why? Because of the humanity in it. You know, it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be just because I have a different race or I come from the Philippines. You know, that would make it different somehow or hard to connect. I think what makes it beneficial for stories that I make and for the kinds of stories that I choose is that they can easily connect to anyone and to everyone from different parts of the world.
Talking about the films, I mean, if we really talk about the films, I mean, the kind of films you make, it's not black and white, it's all gray.
Yeah.
Now, if we speak about the gray, I mean, how does that, in the global political scenario, how does that impact your film impacts?
Because life is not black and white. I mean, there are no rich, there are no poor, there are no like good or bad. We're always in the middle. You know, somehow it all boils down to how your situation, if you are in that specific situation, what will you do? I mean, how will you respond to it? So if you put yourself into that situation, I think people can understand and can connect. That's why I don't really put my characters and my film on that specific scheme of things like this is black and this is white. You know, we're always in the middle, we're always in the center. Like, given the situation, how will you respond to it? How will you go about it? So, and that's the kind of stories that I am interested in telling.
My last question, I mean, the films in India and the films you see, your country's film and the films across the world, in the total world film scenario, I mean, how would you rate this Indian films? And there are so many masters here, Satyajit Ray, Mrinal Sen. I mean, how would you rate the world scenario within the Indian films?
Well, like what I've said a while ago, Indian film it has one of the oldest cinema in the world. You know, second only to France. So there's so much about Indian films, and the Indian culture is known in the entire world. So, but like any other Asian films, it's very difficult to us to really, go on a global stage. I think that's one thing about our films in general in Asia. You know, like for instance, what Korea has done now is different because the government really invested a lot, you know, with their films to be seen abroad, especially in the West. That's why they were able to penetrate, you know, the world cinema. because there's a huge investment and participation from the government. I think artists needs that kind of support. Not only in India, not only in in the Philippines, because there's so much talent. There's so much creative people around. All they need is to support. Filmmakers or artists cannot do that by themselves. They need support. So the government needs to do that for them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.